Hey guys, MrPokke here, and this video is gonna be something pretty special because I recently just attended my first ever IRL Singapore Streamer event that was hosted by essentially all of our local streamers in Singapore, right? So huge shout out to Adria, right? Adria, her mind, right? She's the one that actually made every one of these happen. We got the exposure, the news out. I think there was a media, absolutely insane event. I think there was almost like, I'm not sure if there was like 100 people, but there was definitely quite a sizable crowd, which is like way more than I expected because I never really expected Singapore to have like this streaming scene, because this was like my first interaction with people from literally within Singapore. So just want to talk a little bit about my experiences during this whole event, as well as how being a Singapore streamer is like nowadays in this day and age. So yeah, basically the event is gonna be called the IRL Hype House. So Asia essentially organized this whole thing, and then we got a lot of the different streamers as well as the community members essentially coming together for like a get-together event. It was like all of the food, then there was like live music, and there was a lot of exposure. I think there was like the key APM testing, like the keyboard testing. There was like a Firefly merch. There was a lot of games as well. There was a Pokemon selling card TCG. One of my friends that I knew to make called MrPokke, he basically bought me out this Pokemon pack. Alright, so we were just like kind of having a go at it, and I managed to get this card. And I'm not personally like a Pokemon trainer whatsoever, but if you guys know what this card is in the comments, please feel free to leave it down below. Whoa, like the moment I got in, then it actually helped me like get this whole thing out together with like, the entire pack itself. So yeah, quite interesting there. Oh, there's also this. So whoa, yep, insane, right? Other than that, I think the entire event is basically structured as we went there around roughly 6:30. So I went with MrPokke as well as Vio. Both of them are essentially not full-time streamers, so they still do have a full-time job in Singapore. And then I think for MrPokke, he mainly plays around Maple Story, and you're kind of crazy that even though I'm a Singaporean, I've been here for like so pretty much my entire life, I've actually never played Maple Story in my whole childhood. Like not a single time. I played like all sorts of different games. I played like Mouse Hunt, played like the Backyard Monster, all those Facebook games, played Battle on Adventure Quest, but I actually never played Maple Story once in my entire life. So it was quite interesting to actually see like, oh wow, the Maple Story guy just chilling out over here. And there was also this one other guy that does like supper streams, which is kind of insane. So like every week he would take out like a supper stream where he will be talking with like either a viewer or like another streamer, and they will literally just have supper and have IRL and just yap about like live and like a little bit like a podcast, but literally while having supper, because I think supper is a pretty big thing in Singapore. There's a lot of supper places, so that was also quite insightful. So we managed to reach the event at roughly 6:30ish, 6:45. The food was already served, so you guys can see from the footage it's like a full-on spread of like those like catering food. Very nice, by the way. Huge shout out to the garlic chicken. That was absolutely insane. Very nice amount of audience, and then they have the different booths set up. So I think the walkway, it was structured that you first go into this big room, and then there was like tables. One feedback is just there was not enough chairs. But out of the while towards the end, I think people kind of just move into activity, so it's not important anymore. But especially at the start, I think there was like severely not enough chairs at the start of the event. But other than that, it's just gonna be a big open area where you can basically just sit down and chat with the other streamers within the community. And they have this TV screen where they just play like random streamers clips. And when I saw my clip, I'm like, oh my god. It feels so weird looking at my own clip on the TV, but yeah, then afterwards towards the mainstream, there was also gonna be like a live music. So there was like a piano, there was a guitar, there was like a open mic, all the kinds of stuff, and people can just go up there and sing songs. And there were a lot of streamers that actually were quite enthusiastic enough to go ahead and pick up the mic and just sing the songs, which is very commendable, because unlike the on-stream MrPokke, my IRL version is actually a lot more like chill, a lot more introverted, a lot more shy, depending on how well I actually know the crowd. And because this was like my first ever Singapore event, I really basically knew like a grand total of like 0 people, except for like MrPokke, which I literally just met, as well as a Vil. Right, but other than that, I just try to mingle around, understand a little bit more, talk about the streaming stuff in Singapore. One big thing that I noticed was that a lot of people there, they were live streaming the event to the community, like IRL streaming, which I always thought was like, wow, that is like quite a lot of IRL streamers where they have all of their different setups. So some people that were using like the GoPro cameras, some people that were using a phone with all their different gimbals, right? They were having like their stands, and I think there was at least like 10, if not like more IRL streamers. And on top of that, there's this whole production crew with like an OBS, camera crew and everything to go for the different scenes in the camera during the live stream itself for this entire event, whether it be the game activities, the contest, and all kind of stuff. So I thought it was quite interesting that there was a pretty sizable chunk of IRL streamers, which I've always wanted to do personally, like try IRL streaming, maybe not in Singapore, but more so like if I were to travel, like if I would go to like overseas, or just for vacation, all kind of stuff, just for a little bit of the vlogging experiences. Maybe one day Pokke's play can come up, who knows. But yep, one day I'll learn a little bit more so to get my own setup going, because my biggest problem is basically like the connection, and if I lose my connection, it's kind of just done. And the whole audio and the microphone stuff and the broadband, do I need to carry it back, all kind of stuff. I know Fob uses like a 3,000 USD backpack, which is like whoa, So yep, that was quite interesting. Other than that, I think towards the end of the event, aside from talking to the streamers and understanding a little bit more, I'm just going to focus on the event itself. We played this game called, it is basically hosted in Greedy Grid at Changi. So there are events, the activities. It was basically like towards the final end, it was like streamer versus streamers, then community versus community, and then eventually see who's going to be the first place. This event was actually really, really interesting. So you can see from the footage, right? It's like a tile. It's kind of like Tetris-ish, so the entire floor is like tiles, and then there are tiles on wall. So your objective as a team is to touch every single one of the blue tiles, and you cannot touch the red tiles. And one team will have 10 lives, and if you lose all 10 lives, you have to reset the level and see which team can get from beginner level 1 through level 10 at the fastest time. And I thought this event was super fun, but oh my god, it was an extremely tiring event. Oh my god, once I'm done, I was like sweating my ass. It was ridiculously fun, but yeah, a very strong cardiovascular activity. Other than that, the whole event was also live streamed, but towards the end, that was like the main gist of it, and otherwise it's mainly just about socializing and talking a little bit more about the aspect of streaming itself, right? So yeah, I think now I can just basically talk about like my thoughts about this entire experience. So first of all, I think this Singapore streaming community, it has been around for like a pretty long time. I think like long before, because in case you guys didn't know, Twitch used to have a branch in Singapore, but they actually pulled out because it is a very small country. So I think last year was like the year where Twitch actually pulled out of Singapore. But before that actually happened, it has been for quite a couple of years. And every single year, the streamers within Singapore, they will actually get around and have these kind of like parties and then partner parties, all that kind of stuff. Just mingle and just get to know one another a little bit more. So this was like literally my first time coming across something like this, where oh my god, there are actually people in Singapore that uses Twitch, or like they actually do live stream for a living. From the way that my content creation journey began, it was like very secluded, I would say, away from Singapore, because I basically started, as you guys will know from now, I started a full-time job and I played Honkai Star Rail, and then Honkai Star became like very fun, and eventually we got a lot of the exposure from there. And I didn't really, if at all, interacted with like almost like any Singaporean streamers, at least those that I know, and most of them is gonna be coming from the Western audience, right? Like I'm sure you all the names, Goba, right, Fob, Box2, Janazar, all that kind of stuff, Sweetly, Ruby, and like because I never really got in touch with like I guess my own local community, I just never really knew what it's like to become a streamer in Singapore. And to be frank, after like hearing all of the experiences and everything, it is like incredibly challenging, I would say, to actually be a streamer. I'm not sure if it's the same case for like other countries, but in Singapore, it's like a lot of these streamers that actually attended the event, it is basically doing this for like a part-time, right? It's purely just for the hobbies and see if they can vibe, because to actually make streaming a livable wage, right, to actually cover your full-time living expenses, you can do it, like for example, be a full-time streamer. I would say that the way that Singapore is structured is definitely very challenging, because there are a lot of, I would say, like not even just like the actual income, but like societal pressures to phase you into, okay, yeah, you have to go into your normal like sectors, right, your white collar jobs, banking, finance, com science, all that kind of stuff. And Singapore is one of those where like everybody is hustling really hard. So my background before becoming a streamer, I went to NUS, right? I studied for finance, and afterwards I went to the bank, and afterwards, because of this like incredibly lucky community that I've raised, as well as everything that has been coming, the stars align for this moment, I'm able to actually essentially leave the culture, the work culture within Singapore, and actually become a full-time streamer as of where I am today. So hearing about like the stories of like essentially like chasing for partner, I think chasing for partner, it was a pretty big topic, at least for those people that I met in the career, where if they actually managed to hit a Twitch partner in Singapore, it would have been a incredible achievement, because very few people actually hit that. But to me, like Twitch partner really just came because I think the YouTube thing just sort of took by itself, and eventually when the Twitching happened, it was like pretty fluid in between, and I just didn't really celebrate the whole Twitch partner thing that much, because to me it was just basically a blue check box, and that is pretty much it, right? And I think not just a few days back, I just managed to get my partner anniversary, but whoa, insane partner anniversary. But yeah, I just never really thought that much about it because at the end of the day, I always just focused on like more towards like the games I play. So for both Twitch, YouTube, and nowadays we also stream on Kick, just seeing what kind of content it does, and then if it happens, it happens, and if we get the viewers to be a community, it's gonna be great. And also a little bit more for 6 months ago, the whole war arc. I'm really glad that finding inner peace and just doing essentially what I really like to do and like to enjoy, and don't really waste my mental on any other things, which is very nice, right? Then aside from that, I think there was also mentions of like sponsorship opportunities, right? If you're gonna be getting a partnership, or rather Twitch partner in Singapore, you get more brands reaching out to you locally. First of all, I've never been reached out by a single local brand in my entire life, which is honestly really strange. But I've done a lot of different sponsors for like international brands, like the Western side, all the different games, but never really locally. So that was quite interesting. But apparently it turns out that I don't think streamers, or at least the ones that I know so far, they get paid that much in terms of monetary incentive, but it's more so like they'll get the product for free, and then they do like an influencer marketing kind of thing, which is I think quite common for like Instagram, right? That was quite a couple of like even my friends included, right? They will get like a free product, right? The company will send them a product, they'll market it on Instagram, say, oh my god, this product is insane. But I'm not really sure if they actually pay people to do that. To me, it's more so like, okay, no money, no honey, right? So the AAYA. So that was also a pretty interesting insight as well. And also another thing that I found it quite interesting was that the whole culture and games that Singaporean streamers that I found anyways, it is so different from like the ones that I play. Like I think very few of them actually play gacha games. Most of them I'm doing like either IRL, or they are doing like just random sort of like just channings, or they're doing like Valorant, right? Or esports, those kind of games, right? Maple Story. I think I met like 2 streamers, both of them are VTubers as well, that played Uma Musume. Very few people played Genshin Impact, although there was this challenge that says if you can name a Genshin Impact voice line, you get like a prize or something. But other than that, very few people actually play gacha games. And as someone that essentially streams gacha games, it is just so surreal that outside of this like community of gacha gamers, or like the gacha community, there's so many things out there in the world that is actually putting quite a lot of things in perspective, essentially, right? Because it's not just about gacha games, but to me, from my side of things, it's like everything's about gacha games. My whole life, like my community, everybody talks about, it's only about gacha games. What are the gacha revenue? What gacha games coming out? Tier list, meta, war, drama, everything is about gacha games. But like looking into this event, there are like so many different things, and like it really helped me like broaden my horizons to try and explore way more things outside from this whole sphere of gacha that we have been in touch for, like, I would say for a good, I think at this point it's been almost 2 years, because I quit my job 2024 March, so it's been literally almost 2 years since I became a full-time content creator, right? One last thing before I essentially close off this entire video, I think it's just truly how absolutely blessed and thankful I am for myself to be put in this current position because of you guys that watch my content. Whichever you are gonna be, whatever gacha games you're playing, whatever impression you have of me, as long as you are gonna be watching my content, I truly am super grateful, because at the end of the day, I think it's just so surreal that within Singapore, finding somebody that can make streaming a full-time thing, to essentially completely break out from the social expectations to go into like a full-time job, business, finance, and all that kind of stuff, and just quite literally like play video games for a living. It really is incredible. And at this point of my career, even though it's only been like 1.5 years, but I would say I've pretty much more or less, have a very comfortable living, if I can say so myself. And going forward into the future, whether or not it's gonna be, as insane as all the way at the start, whether or not any new games are gonna be coming out, I'm just really glad that things have happened the way it has happened, or whatever it's gonna be. And hopefully going forward in the future, we're still gonna pick up all the different games that we're gonna try out. And yep, one last thing, thank you so much for my community for watching your streamer, right? So that's pretty much gonna be it. Just a quick little video to wrap up my experiences in this my first ever IRL Singapore meet. Looking forward to future events within the local community, and we'll just see how that goes. And one important thing to know that I just want you guys to know, I'm so sorry that your streamer actually speaks so fast, because even for Singaporean standards, and I think a lot of Singaporeans, they also talk like very fast. I think I myself particularly, I speak extremely fast. So to the point where like people can't really keep up, and like, oh my god, but like I would now try to at least ease down my pace a little bit, because going into like this the community here, they also talk pretty fast, right? Like, I'm not sure if it's just like the Singaporean thing or like an Asian thing, but people just tend to talk a lot faster. But I feel like for myself, I am like really very fast. So it was just quite insightful to actually see how I go, right? Yeah, so So with that, we've come to the end of today's content. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What of the day is gonna be perspective. Actually, no. What of the day is gonna be supper. All the best. I gotta prove. See you guys next time. Take care.